All right, we got Rick Barry, and you know what? The Hall of Famer Rick Barry, of course, won a championship with the Golden State Warriors back in '75. Of course, he's always out here in the Bay Area. And he was sitting courtside next to Chris Mullin a couple Fridays ago when the Warriors started this winning streak against the Houston Rockets. Now, they were down big at the half. Steph Curry hits the game winner. So you know what, Shasky? I'm going to blame Rick for the winning streak because that's when it started, where Rick Barry graced us here at Chase Center, sitting courtside, and the Warriors were a bit rocky at that point, but they've been rolling ever since. Rick Barry, good morning. How you doing, man?
Well, I'm doing great, and hope everybody is doing well during these chaotic times. Yeah, I was crazy because I'd seen the game before that one that they gave away by not fouling in the last 10 seconds to go, and kind of gave that game away. But they got away with one against the Rockets. They were lucky. We were sitting there talking, Chris and I, saying they're lucky to get down 20-something points in that game. And Joe Lacob was really not happy at all. I said, Joe, just remember, there's two halves to a game of basketball.
Hey, Rick, we were kind of joking around before we get back into the Warriors. For your own career, or it could be on the court, off the court, at whatever point, we're going what if? If the Tuck rule didn't happen, because we were watching the Tuck rule 30 for 30. For you, in your career, you're on off the court. Was there ever a what if that you look back on and go, man, I wish something would have played out a little different?
Well, I don't live in the past, first of all, but, looking back and stuff, and I told people, I said, if I knew that I could be where I am today, have the amazing life that I have and my son Canyon and the friends and all that I've had, and know that I could have that if I had stayed and played with the Warriors and just stayed in the NBA, I would do that.
And not go to the ABA the way you did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't even believe some of the shit I had to go through there. It was unbelievable. I mean, the owner and the coach of a team fighting it at All-Star. It was like,
wait, what?
Wait, Rick, no, seriously.
Explain this.
The thing is, when we had the going ahead and going to put everybody in quarantine and go ahead and do that and have them in the lockdown stuff. I said, wait a second, I know what that was like playing in front of nobody because I went to Houston to play in a game one time at the ABA, and there was more people sitting at the scorer's table on the bench than there were in the stand.
Rick Barry here on the Morning Roast on 95.7 The Game. So Klay Thompson's back. The ball handling that he's developed over the last 2 years after missing all that time, 941 days without the game of basketball. What has impressed you most about Klay? Is it the shot being there? Is it his lateral movement, his quickness, his ball handling? What has impressed you so much about Klay Thompson since he's been back in the lineup?
Well, I had said when he was down, I said if anybody's going to come back from this, I would think it would be Klay, and it probably wouldn't impact him as much as it might some other players. Especially with the offense, with shooting the basketball, especially because he's not a guy that's out there doing a bunch of things to get his shots. He's such a catch and shoot guy. But what has impressed me has been his mobility. I mean, even in the first game back when he came in, it goes in and gets that dunk. I mean, I know what it was like for me when I had to get cut open. I didn't have arthroscopic type of surgery that they have now. Whether or not that knee is going to hold up. Mm-hmm. And for him to be that aggressive and to be able to have done that, the only thing he was doing wrong in the beginning, he was kind of rushing stuff. He wasn't getting himself set, the butterflies. I mean, hell, you haven't played in that long. I mean, it's got to be an emotional thing. And then he's got that back under control. I told somebody, I asked him one game, he went 0 for 7. I said, I'm not a betting person, but I'll bet you whatever you want to bet that Klay Thompson never has another game in his career where he goes 0 for 7 from 3. He's that good a shooter. And so very impressed. And as you said, he was smart enough to work on other skill developments, handling the ball even better. He went to the basket in those games when I was watching him. And that's what I respect about Klay and Steph both. Steph made himself into a most valuable player. I mean, he wasn't coming in with great accolades and all that. And then you got Klay, who was a one-dimensional kind of catch-shoot player. Well, he's turned himself into an all-around player. Great shooter. Now he can create a shot, goes to the basket, shoot the mid-range shot, great free-throw shooter. He's turned himself into a much better all-around basketball player. And, of course, his defense was always, outstanding. So very impressive what he's done. I'm happy to see that, happy for him. I can't even imagine what he had to go through with those two, what used to be career-ending injuries, each one of them for guys.
Yeah. Well, what's your thoughts on the evolution of Jordan Poole? This is a young player who didn't have a lot of experience, even at the college level, and he didn't look good early on. They didn't know if he was a point guard or a shooting guard, and now he seems to be finding a role off the bench as kind of like an instant offense player. What are your thoughts on Jordan Poole's evolution thus far?
Well, I'm proud of him as well because when he first came in, as a rookie, I get to watch him, and didn't think he was very good. I mean, his shot selection was absolutely horrendous. He thought he was Steph Curry trying to shoot from Steph range. And wasn't doing a very good job. And I think the awakening came when they sent him back down to the G League and realized that, I don't have it made here. And so, to his credit, he worked very hard at his game, and he became much more consistent shooting the basketball from outside, and has done a nice job, and now has a lot of confidence. And you have to give him a lot of credit as well, knowing full well that he had established himself, was playing quite well in the starting role, and now all of a sudden he's got to go back to coming off the bench and coming in when Klay's coming out and not having the same role. A lot of guys, that would be a real problem for him, right. But he's dealt with it quite well, and so you have to admire and respect that in him.
Rick, we love you. Something tells me you wouldn't have been cool with coming off the bench after establishing yourself as a starter.
Well, I would have played so well they wouldn't have put me there.
I love
but I was willing to accept it. Hey, listen, when I was in college, I went off to go play in a game. It's the only game I ever played with the USA jersey on, representing our country against the Russians. It was the Soviet Union at the time, and it was in Butler Fieldhouse. And because I was not, what they did is they started all the guys they had on that team who were Big Ten guys. Mm-hmm. And also, I came off the bench to have to play that, but I was willing to accept that, to be able to have USA on my chest and play.
Rick, who was that guy in front of you? Come on, I know you remember who it was.
I don't even remember. I really don't remember. It was one of the guys, a Big Ten player, whatever it is, but I wound up playing significant minutes and played very, very well. We won the basketball game, but I wasn't afraid of doing that. I mean, even when I went to the Rockets, seriously. Yeah. When I left the Warriors, over $10,000, by the way, which is just a whole other story. It was just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's incredible. Wait, they didn't want to give you $10,000, Rick Barry?
Yeah, exactly. That was the difference. The set there. The general manager said, I can't believe you're going to blow this over $10,000. I think you got it backwards. I said, I can't believe you're willing to go over $10,000. And so that just shows you the difference. It wasn't even arguing about millions of dollars. It was $10,000. So anyway, I go back to the Rockets and I play there. I'm willing to accept the subservient role and fill in because I got a chance to play with four future Hall of Famers: Moses Malone, Calvin Murphy, Mike Newland, Mike Dunleavy. I was probably the most overall talented team I've ever played on, and I was willing to do it. And I really was playing almost basically point guard, and was in the top 10 in assists, didn't shoot the ball very much, 11, 12 times a game. They said, Rick Barry can't play anymore doing it. No, I was willing to accept that role to be on a winning team. Okay, one game in 2 years, I started at 2 because Calvin Murphy was sick, and I got the start, and I got 25 shots in that game and scored 37 points. So I could have played at that level if they wanted me to, but I was willing to accept that role. In fact, I was going to go to the Boston Celtics, except the league changed the rule from 12 players to 11 active players. And otherwise, I would have gone like so many other players did and finished my career as a Celtic.
Wow. I didn't know that. Rick, you referenced in that story that you told that people thought that you were not washed up, but weren't as good as you used to be. I'm hearing a lot of that same sentiment regarding Steph Curry this year.
Yeah.
When you hear someone say Steph's having a down year, what's your rebuttal?
A down year? No, he's just gone through a stretch here where all of a sudden his shooting was off a little bit, which happens to everybody. But the guy, his slump, guys would pay a fortune to have his slump shooting.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Okay? I mean, seriously. I mean, he just is with such a high level, and that happens. But to say that he's having a really bad year, no, you're kidding me? I mean, they wouldn't be where they are if it wasn't for Steph. And other guys have filled in, and that's what a team does. When somebody's struggling, hell, in Game 7 in the Western Conference Final when I played and was stinking up the gym, if it wasn't for my teammates, we would have lost that game and never got a chance to go to the finals and win.
Yeah, I mean, Steph Curry, 18 points, 10 assists, 9 rebounds last night, Rick. And you talk about a lot of people slump. Chris Muller tells me, because I work with him on the Warriors pre- and post-game show, and he goes, Bonte, he's not slumping. Those are Hall of Fame numbers, 25-5 in the month of January, and that's a slump for Stephen Curry. We're just not accustomed to him shooting so poorly by his standards. Still, 39% from the three-point line in January. You'll take that all day long. What about the young kid, though, Jonathan Kaminga? What has impressed you about him? Now he's starting to get minutes. He's averaged 17 and a half over the last 3 games. What about this Jonathan Kaminga kid, Rick?
Yeah, he definitely is a supreme athlete. But what I was most impressed by him when I watched him in Summer League was that he actually sees the floor and has the ability to facilitate and get the ball to people. And he's not selfish, and he has a nice little feel for the game, which is an important element. And, he'll get better. I mean, my God, being around Steph and Klay, all he has to do is just hang with them and hope that some of that rubs off on him. Can you imagine if he becomes a great shooter with his athleticism? So, yeah, he's going to be a nice player for him, no question. It's nice that he's getting the extra minutes because that'll make him playoff ready. He'll have had a lot more experience because he wasn't getting very much at the beginning of the season. So that's the big thing when you're a player. You always have to be ready and keep yourself in as good a shape as possible. Put the extra work and effort into it, because you never know when your number is going to be called. You don't know if something is going to happen with an injury or what may take place. And if you're not prepared to do that, you blow perhaps your only opportunity to be able to show the team and everybody what you're capable of doing. But that's on you.
Yeah. Rick, last year you were really critical of just the IQ of some of the players on the court, and you were right. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. If you were to criticize, I know they're awesome this year, but if you were looking for one area where they can get better, not criticize, but an area they can get better, what would that area be for the Warriors?
Turnovers. They make too many turnovers at times. They don't make the spectacular pass. I mean, my thing, here's another thing. When you look, especially if you're trying to feed the ball inside or whatever, okay, if I throw this ball to my teammate, and this has to be instantaneous, but I'm saying it and explaining it. If I pass this ball to my teammate, what is he going to be able to do with it? Why would you make a pass to a guy in a position where there's two other defenders around just because he's in the low post? Does he have good position against it?
Right.
Who is guarding him in there? So you have to make intelligent decisions, but you have to make them instantaneously in the game of basketball as to what is this going to accomplish by me passing the ball to my teammate.
You know, Rick, this team's 41-13, and we'll get you out of here with this one. They're 41-13. They're second in the West. Is turnovers the only thing that could derail this team from winning the NBA championship this season?
Well, that and just staying healthy, and because they're playing really, at times they play outstanding defense. Their rotations are fabulous. They're doing a really good job in that. And boy, this may be the worst I've ever heard in my life of a cartilage injury for a player to be out as long as he's been in with Wiseman. There's got to be more to this than just a cartilage. And if he ever comes back and starts to get a chance like Kaminga to, get the minutes and get some more experience, because he's got a nice upside as well. Right. I don't know how great his feel for the game is, but boy, he really does have some natural talents, and there's no question about that.
What advice would you have for him right now? What advice would you have for Wiseman as he tries to stay ready? He's traveling with the team. He was working out before the game yesterday in Oklahoma City. What advice would you have for him as he returns from this injury to kind of just keep his head above water?
Well, basically just continue to work at the skills necessary to take your game to another level. Don't try to push it. Let the game come to you. A lot of times players go out and they try to force things, make things happen. No, just take. It's like when you play defense. Take what the defense gives you on offense. Take what the defense gives you this way. Take what the game gives you. Recognize what's happening and capitalize on the opportunities that you're given. Don't try to force it and make things happen. That's what I would say.
I say it every day at practice, Rick. Just make the easy play. It's sitting there right in front of your face. Why do you try to make it more difficult? My dad says every single time you're his favorite player of all time, and every time I take him to Chase Center, he says, when are they going to commission the statue? Rick, do you have anything to break? When are they going to get the Rick Barry statue out at Chase Center? Have you heard anything?
No, I've never heard anything. That'd be quite an honor, to be honest with you. It'd probably be the nicest honor I've ever received, but, I have no say in any of that things. I'm just, happy that the team has gotten back and playing well. The fans have been so grateful for all those years. And if I could quickly, two promos, medicaleaf.com, medicaleaf.com. Number 24 is the code Amazing Cannabinoid Products. I highly recommend them. I use them every day. And then Go Sleeves, GOSLEEVES.com. small RB24 is the code, small RB24. Incredible products. I use them. I've sent a bunch of stuff over to the trainers over there to try to get Draymond to use this for his calf injury, to try to get Klay to use it. It's great for recovery. I don't know if they're using it or not, but I certainly wish they would try it because they're great products. So I wish everybody the best. I hope everything's good. Hey, the one thing about the Warriors, even behind the Suns, the one thing is they have a better record in the division, which is a big thing. If they could just round up tying them, they'll still get home court because they're 8-1 in the division, and that's a big thing.
And 2-1 against the Phoenix Suns, and it sounds like we need some of that recovery medicine for just waking up so damn early. Rick, we're tired, man. We're watching the Warriors at night, waking up early in the morning. We need some of that recovery.
Cannabinoid.
By the way, next time we talk, I got to ask you about James Harden, how he's dogging it in Brooklyn. I know that ticks you off, Rick. I know that drives you crazy.
Well, I just saw a story today. I think it was Steve Nash saying that Harden wants to stay there with Brooklyn and all. But anyway, he's an interesting story, and you can have a whole show talking about him and all the things that he's been through. So, but but I'm saying he's not. I don't think. Let me just say, I don't think he's a selfish player. I really don't. Okay, and we can sometimes discuss that when we talk again.
No doubt, Rick. You're the best.
Thank you,
man.
Rick.
Take care. Bye bye.
Rick Barry, the Hall of Famer, NBA champion.